So the next woman I want to talk about in this, as we explore five powerful women of the Bible and what we can learn from them. The next woman is Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene represents a woman who had a sinful past. She had, I think she was a prostitute. She had done a lot of non-Christian like things. But when she had an opportunity to come near Jesus, she came to him humbly with an offering. She came and she cried and washed his feet with her tears. Back in those days, they used to wash each other's feet because they wore sandals on dirt roads and they walked everywhere. And when they would come into the house to sit down and eat dinner and probably sit on the floor and, sit Indian style, sometimes they wash each other's feet to get the dust and the dirt off and feel cleaner in that home environment. You know how you take your shoes off at some people's house so you don't track dirt through their houses. This was somewhat like that, the way they dealt with it at that time. So she came in and she ministered to Jesus by washing his feet with her tears. She was repentant of her sin. She got in the presence of God and she felt repentant and sorry for how she had lived. And she expressed that to Jesus through her tears and through wiping his feet with her hair. She humbled herself. And then she gave him the best thing she had, which was some expensive perfume. She anointed him with her perfume. And a lot of people watched what she was doing. Some of them made, remarks about who she was. And if Jesus was a prophet, he'd know she was a sinful woman and he wouldn't let her touch him. And some people looked at it like, she wasted that good perfume that could have been sold to give money to the poor. And Jesus addressed all of those things. And he said, first of all, I come to people who say they know me and they don't honor me. He told the Pharisees, I've been in your house. You didn't offer to wash my feet. You didn't kiss me. I guess kissing was a way of greeting one another with love. He's like, you didn't kiss me. She hasn't stopped kissing my feet since she got here. And he said, you are discrediting her because she's sinful. But he said, if two men owed you money and one owed you a little bit of money and one owed you a lot of money and you forgave the debt, which one you think would be more grateful? And he said the one with the greatest debt. And so that's what he was saying about Mary Magdalene. She had a lot of sin and I forgive her. And she's going to probably be my best servant because she understands how much she's been forgiven. Whereas you think you holy and righteous and, you don't do nothing for me, So that's the way Jesus dealt with the measurement of, our unrighteousness and the forgiveness that he gives to those of us who recognize that we are very grateful and to be accepted by Jesus because, when you're very aware that I was a sinner in need of a savior, So Mary Magdalene, what I liked in that story is even though everybody criticized how she ministered to Jesus, she ministered to him. He was in his human body. He was performing miracles. He was walking around here and there, serving. Everywhere he went, somebody needed him for something. And for once, when I looked at this, I thought she came and brought him something. She brought him, gratefulness and love and humility, recognizing who he was, acknowledging who he was, which is what God requires of us all the time. He says you can't even come to him unless you believe he is God. You gotta get the right perception of who he is. And she had that. It humbled her. It made her cry. It made her want to do something great for him. So even though he was the Lord, he was in his human body, she ministered to his feet. She tried to wash them with her tears and dry them with her hair, which was an act of, taking care of him. And that's so important in this example because she took care of the strong and the effective. Jesus was strong, he was effective, and she ministered to him, whereas everybody else was asking him to do things for them. She also anointed him with some expensive oil. Again, people were like, oh, you didn't have to anoint him with that. That could have been sold and helped the poor. And Jesus said, the poor will always be among you. But she is making me ready for my burial because he was about to die soon. And his burial was the greatest sacrifice. It was very important. So it's something to be said about those people who recognize the strong people and what the strong people need. Most people just use the strong people to death. They use them up. They assume they're always available, always dependable, reliable. They ask you to do everything, but they never ask you what you need, or they never bring anything to restore you. So what I like about Mary Magdalene, what stood out to me about her, again, she took care of the strong and effective. Most people want to take care of the poor people and the people who always need something, which that's not bad. However, the poor will always be among you. There'll always be people who need stuff. And most of the time, it's the same people needing stuff over and over again because they don't listen. But the strong people, the ones who get the most work done, don't forget about taking care of them. When you're smart enough to recognize that you need to take care of the strong and effective people is when you are really, really effective minister. Do for the poor, but don't forget about the strong. Don't take them for granted. Don't work them until they just rot. Maintain the people who get the most done. That's one of the smartest managerial traits you can have. That's one of the smartest parental traits you can have. You know, sometimes as a parent, you might spend all your time on your troubled child, going back and forth to the school, giving them special attention, trying to make sure they get their homework done, trying to check on their behavior. And in doing so, you totally neglect the child who does a good job, who doesn't give you any trouble. You just put it in your mind, I don't have to worry about them. And you give all your attention to the one that's always stirring up confusion. Well, they need attention. However, don't let that make you forget how great it is to have a child who gets it right. And love on them too, and reward them too, and make that special. Because it's crazy to give all of the resources to the people who aren't making any progress and completely neglect those who do the greatest job. Think about that. That's what I learned from Mary Magdalene, and I want to share with you. So, she was a sinful woman who had the most graciousness for Jesus accepting her, and she knew how to take care of Jesus or the effective people in the kingdom, because those are the ones who get the most good work done. So don't forget about those people. All right, that was Mary Magdalene. Next, we're going to look at Rahab. In this series, 5 powerful women of the Bible and what we can learn from them. This is the last part 5 of these 5 women. And this is the last part of our series, Let the Older Women Teach the Younger Women. So join me for the last Bible study as we talk about Rahab. All right.